Hey, it's your buddy, AVT Pro. Uh, Alonzo Von Threet, the film director. Yes, 7 years ago. I didn't know a crap about it. I do film productions. Alright, anyway, let me try to find something. This is Person in the Mirror by Greg Maroney. Okay. Easy piano solos. So I want to give him a credit. I haven't listened to this shit. But I want to talk about apology and forgiveness. And I think that there's a strong correlation. You have two people, you have apology, one owes one an apology, and one owes, one may be unforgiving. Okay? So this person may be too stubborn to apologize, and this one might be too stubborn to forgive. And so stubborn, stagnant, you don't tend to don't move. So they're clashed. They're not moving. There's a correlation between those two. If you don't apologize to somebody, you get stuck because you're too stubborn to say, "Hey, I've done wrong. Hey, I I'm not going to change. I'm going to continue to be this way. I'm going to continue to do the wrong thing." That's what I'm not going to acknowledge that I did wrong. You know, I might even blame it on something else. Okay. And so this stubbornness, this unwilling, this pressure to not move, like you're just this tension. I'm not gonna change. I'm not gonna move. Regardless of how life is pushing me, I'm just gonna try to hold back. And if you're pushing me, I'm still moving because life moves you on anyway. But that stress and that tension of not being it, that compounds you. It compounds your body. It's just really just tough. So you continue to do the same error. You don't move. You become stagnant. You don't grow. So at a certain point, you don't change. And life is full of changes. Everything in life changes. Everything. But you're saying, I'm not going to change. So you're saying, I'm going to be this at this moment when this happened. I'm not going to move beyond that moment when this happened. So you get stuck there. At what age? What time did that happen? When you were like 10 years old or 15 years old. So I'm going to be a 15-year-old, even though I'm 45, 46 now. I'm going to stay the same. I'm going to act like I'm going to say things that is of a 15-year-old or a 13-year-old or a 17-year-old or a 10-year-old. I'm going to act like a 5-year-old. Be a 45-year-old person, 46-year-old person, a 5-year-old and a 46-year-old body. Because you don't change. So on the other hand, you have forgiveness, unforgiveness, or instead of forgiving this person, you actually say, I'm not going to change. I'm not going to move. I'm going to stay here and just hold this debt against this person. This debt is you owe me an apology, and I ain't going to ever change. I'm going to hold on to this apology. What happens to a debt when you hold on to it? The same thing that happens at a collection agency. It accumulates more debt, more interest. You give it more interest. You think about it more. You hold more. You can more concerned about that person when that person, is going on. You still stuck and got your whole mind, body, and spirit all on that one thing, that one point of interest. When you wouldn't forgive, when you said, I'm not going to change, whether you were 15 years old, whether you were 17 years old, 20 years old, and now you're 102 and still acting like a 22-year-old. There's things that a 25-year-old shouldn't act like a 22-year-old, you know. So my point is that you become stagnant. You know, if you ever seen a person that, you know, they 30 years old and acting like a damn 12-year-old, you know, just doing things that just ain't right and won't change, won't say I'm sorry for it, or won't forgive somebody who did something to them when they were 12 years old. You know, I was just thinking, I went to the club. I've been gone 15 years. I lived out of town, right? I ain't had time to be concerned about things that had to do with my childhood. I don't have time to think about it. I'm dealing with this big old city now. I got to survive. You know, I can't keep going over the same moment in life. I can't still repeat the same thing that happened when I was 12 years old. You know, I've grown past that. You know? So I come back into town, I go to the club, right? After 15 years. And I'm looking at these guys and they looking at me all screw face. I'm like, I know these guys from somewhere. I just don't remember where. I ain't think about it. I forgot. You know who these guys were. They was I'm like in the crowd, and it's like 2 or 3 guys looking at me like they mad about something. When we was kids, there's these guys that broke into our basement. That my dad bought us some new bikes, and they stole our bikes and changed the bike color and everything in 10 minutes. We got the bikes back, but they still thinking, and I'm still thinking about them damn bikes. I recognize I sat there in the club at 45 years old looking at these guys and they still mad. I done forgave them about the bikes. I could get their bikes, you know. I don't drive. I've been on trains, subways, and planes, you know. You know, I'm like, bike. Oh yeah, I remember that was a nice bike. You know, I wouldn't want to ride it for nothing in the world today. I got a bike, one of those trot bikes in there. I won't even get on there. I'm supposed to be exercising, you know. I won't even get on that. You know, and they looking at me mad because of some bikes. I'm just using that as an example. You know what? When you go on, and, you know, and that wasn't all it was. It was, you know, even then, when we got back on the bikes, we had a good time. I was happy to have my bike back. You know, or one time this kid, you know, he was an older kid, he was bigger than me, you know, and he's still actually a little bit taller than me, right? He took $1 from me. He actually asked me for it, and I gave it to him, but I didn't want to give it to him. But he promised me he was going to give it back. And so I seen him, like, you know, this is like maybe 30 years later, you know, and he still got some kind of attitude against me over $1. I'm like, what am I supposed to do? Can I have my $1 back? You know, I'm 45 years old. I'm paying cash, you know. I'm paying rent, you know, and whatever. You know, I'm like, yo, give me, you know, they probably accumulated debt now. Give me my, you owe me $1,500 on that $1 you stole from me when I was a little kid. You know what I mean? They worried about the damn dollar. You know, he mad at me. So the thing is now, but you haven't forgave. You haven't, you know, I don't want an apology. You know, I don't forgive you anyway. That was for your own good. When you apologize to me, that would be for your own good. So you don't keep making the same mistake. Now that dude that probably had all kind of jail records and felonies and all that kind of stuff. You know, stuff they've been carrying around 30 years. You know, there's a lot of people like that. I'm just saying, just forgive it. Let it go. You know, apologize. You do yourself a favor. You at least admit you're wrong and you start to deal with your own problems before the debt accumulates to where you can't pay it back. That it'll be so much debt that you can hardly pay it back. At least deal with yourself and start to deal with it. Yeah.